What's up, Nick?
Well, how's it going, Rob? And welcome to the Nick and Rob Homer Hour. I almost said UFL Homer Hour, just like our old audience before, Rob.
Well, we're going to be talking some
Or
UFL, so that
hopefully more.
works.
Yeah, it sure will. And hey, Rob, I got some good news for you. Right now, I'm testing out this new lavalier mic. Okay, we're getting fancy here on Nick and Rob Homer Hour. And check this out. Look at this. We've got a. Didn't go that way. Swerving camera. It just follows me naturally. So this is going to be a fancy little toy that's going to help out our studio too. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And one last point, anytime you make fun of the Dallas Cowboys or Jerry Jones, I can have it zoom in on me and be angry. Fun toys ahead.
I
Fun
like it.
toys
That's cool.
ahead.
That's great. The podcast is growing and evolving and modernizing. I do appreciate that you're not doing that really annoying trend I'm seeing all over social media where people take those mics and instead of putting them on them, they just hold them like they're little mics up to their face. And it's like the dumbest thing around. So thank you for using it correctly.
It doesn't look. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It doesn't look good when you hold it up and it's a tiny little mic and it just doesn't. It doesn't look too good that way. But I'll tell you one thing. I mean, one, you can always clip it on, and two, it's good for interviews. We don't have the big mics that Fox and ESPN has. So if we ever want to do an interview, maybe at a tailgate, Rob, we could do one now that we have these proper mics that can help us out. So it's really cool, a lot of fun, and I'm excited about the new season ahead, especially when it comes to the UFL.
Yeah, for sure. It's exciting times. We're just about 9 days away. UFL Cut Down Day is tomorrow. Well, not 9 days away. Sorry, 10 days away. Nine, depending on who it when you're watching this. If you're not watching live, and Cut Down Day is tomorrow. It's a big day.
Yeah, and think about it this way, Rob. Next time we do a show, which will probably be on Tuesday next week, we are a little off right now. We had a big holiday with St. Patrick's Day. That's why we decided not to do it on Tuesday, but this week. But next week on Tuesday, there is. We're gonna have to be making picks, Rob, because week one will be nigh upon us.
It's exciting. It's time to make some picks. And of course, they're kicking off with a great matchup with getting that Texas rivalry going. Houston traveling to Dallas. It's going to be a good one to start the season. And a lot of good things happening. A lot of things I want to dive into. But first, I mean, we've been talking about things that excite us last season. Last week, I talked about Jordan Tiamu. You talked about all of the kind of unsung heroes and the exciting differences in the UFL. What do you got this week for us? You got some Renegade stuff for us?
I sure do. I sure do. I wrote a little article in regards to the Renegades as well, talking about the upcoming season up ahead, and we're gonna break that down here pretty shortly. Should we kick it off straight to the Homer headlines? Let's just go ahead and kick it off, right?
Let's do it.
Right, Rob?
Yeah, let's do
Let's do it. Any minute now, right?
it.
I don't know why I lost it. Where'd it? Got it. Don't worry. You got it. Headlines. One
There
of
you
the
are.
home the host actually wrote articles to the. I wrote my own headline, Rob. in regards to the Dallas Renegades upcoming season in 2026. And I am really excited about this season, especially after breaking down a little bit more details when it comes to the Dallas Renegades. It's hard for me to get back. Dallas Renegades in the upcoming season. If you guys get a chance to read it, by the way, I'm going to add it in the comments. So we're going to be able to talk about it some and do things like that. You get a chance to read it yourself and check it out, see what you think. It's a next article that I wrote out there, but in the article, it was talking about the 2023 championship, and that's where it started off. How the Arlington Renegades look really good. I said it correctly that time. The Arlington Renegades look really good on top of the world. They had Luis Perez through a weird backdoor trade that a lot of people find very suspicious that they even got him, because Arlington is, of course, the home base of the UFL. And so a lot of people were under the assumption that it didn't rig the fact that the Arlington Renegades even got him for a lowly linebacker, Ryan Moeller, who's no longer in the league, last time I checked. Started off winning a championship over there and then ended up having two terrible seasons with the 2024-25 seasons where they went 3-7 and then 5-5 respectively. And now they're in the doldrums and it looks like they're needing to change. But I even mentioned in the article right now, it's not just the Renegades that are changing. It's definitely going to be the UFL in general. They're going through a lot of struggle and doing that. Is my audio doing okay, Rob? Everything?
Your audio's
okay?
fine. Your audio's fine. You freeze up a little here and there, but the audio's so far so good.
Okay. All right. At least, sorry guys if I'm static all the way around. But yeah, so we got the 2024-2025 season has not been good seasons for the. Now I lost the camera.
Still get your audio though. That's a good corner. Solid corner
Yeah,
that you got
sure
in the
do.
house.
Sure do.
Did the camera just turn away from you?
Yeah, this is off to a good start with this new camera. I'm loving the direction we're going. But yeah, we got the 2024-2025 season. Did not go out well for the Renegades. They ended up finishing 3-7 and 5-5 back to back. And in the 2023 season, they had a -2 point differential. After the consolidation, it did not look good for the Renegades because they could not keep up with the talent. And then after 2025, they ended up having a +61 point differential, which if you talk to anyone about that season, you would want that heading into it. If someone handed you a +61 point differential, you would think you would have an overall good season. The fact of the matter is they just did not. They ended up finishing 5-5, not making it to the playoffs. And the big question is not on their legendary coach, Bob Stoops. So Bob Stoops no longer here, and he's replaced by Neuheisel, which he himself was an interesting hire because he ended up having a weird, shaky record. Started off real well in Colorado, 10-2. Ended up getting money whipped over in Washington, and for just $5 million in the 1998 money, so it was really good. Ends up getting moved over to Washington, and in Washington he ended up having a gambling scandal and never quite recovered over there. Became the UCLA head coach and finished 21-29. So as the head coach for the the Dallas Renegades, it's not looking too good for, a lot of people aren't too hyped up about Neuheisel being hired on, but we talked about this on our show, Rob. He's one of the few that actually have head coaching experience. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, he's arguably
we're at a delay.
the second best head coach in the league.
Yeah, it's really questionable there. I mean, especially with Skip Holtz, who was clearly the favorite in the last 2 years. Neuheisel taking Skip Holtz being out and Neuheisel jumping in, it looks 10 times better for the Renegades. It's almost great that new, Skip Holtz is out just for the Renegades' sake. Of course, you know, it's still not going to be easy, but people like AJ McCarron all of a sudden jumping in on this job with no head coaching experience whatsoever. I don't know how it's going to do for the UFL. It's going to be a big question mark because I'm a little worried about that. Before in the 2024-2025 season, the UFL, the football has been fine. There's been no issues with that. But now that you're bringing on a bunch of new head coaches that are coming in on this thing, it is going to be a little nerve-wracking on whether football can actually keep up and play really well.
Yeah, I mean, well, I would argue that it's still it's high quality football, but it's still not the NFL, and fans need to understand that the training's not as in depth, the length of practices aren't as long, and you see that especially early on with lots of drops with receivers, with confusion over routes, kickers that need time to warm up and find where the uprights are. But then it picked like last season was my first season really delving in, but then it picked up pretty quick. And just from a coaching perspective, when you look at the fact that you got AJ McCarron in Birmingham, Columbus brought in Ted Ginn Jr. Automatically, just by having a head coach that knows how to be a head coach, that knows how to put together a program, put together a much more complicated program as far as major Division I college football is, because you're not like here in the UFL. He's just coaching. He just has to put together a staff and coach and lead. In major college football, you're a politician. You have to recruit donors. You have to go out and beg kids to come play for you versus other teams. So he's got an easier gig than he had before, and he's got the experience. I would say obviously Anthony Becht has been doing it longer in the spring league, and then of course Shannon Harris got the title last year. But I'd put Rick Neuheisel up there with any of them and stack that with a mostly solid returning roster, possibly the continuation of the Luis Perez era, and Dallas should be competitive.
Yeah, I very well think they should be very competitive and they should play well, especially with Neuheisel. And the biggest concern heading into the season was the offensive line. Why is it doing that?
Oh, that's a good section of that wall too.
Right here, buddy. It's doing so well, and then it all of a sudden stops, and now we got that. Okay, back it up. Let's go.
Hey, we're
Rob, we got new toys.
we got new toys. Got to learn how to play with them.
Yeah, we got to figure it out, but hopefully it stays stable. You stay good over there, okay? You stay good over there, camera. Yeah, no. I'm right there with you though. That Neuheisel. Another thing about Neuheisel that's significant is the fact that he actually had a really good coaching record in Colorado. He had 2 back-to-back 10-2 seasons, and then in Washington, where he got money whipped for $5 million, which I find funny, especially in 2026, that anybody got money whipped for $5 million. But back in 1998, that was a ton of money. Nowadays, you're talking about buying out contracts for $90 million, like Texas A&M, Jimbo Fisher. So it's just funny the different kind of money that we're talking about over here. But yeah, so he gets money whipped over to Washington, and then it's kind of like a Deshaun Watson situation where he ends up getting a scandal, nowhere near as severe. Okay, I want that to be clear, everyone. He did not get any sort of weird allegations like Deshaun Watson. But he did have a scandal on his plate for gambling in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. And Rob, do you know how much money he actually gambled? I didn't mention this in the article, but it was over $6,000. That was it.
Yeah. Well, back then the
scandal.
Right, but also remember, legendary Ohio State coach Tim Tressel went down because his players sold autographs to get tattoos. and that's what he lost his job over. So the NCAA used to try to really crack down on everything. Now there's no rules. So honestly, Rick Neuheisel was just ahead of his time because today, if he were to place those bets today as a head coach, absolutely no issue whatsoever because he's not betting on his sport. All right. So gambling is welcome everywhere. I mean, that's all, the Super Bowl. Half the ads were sports betting apps. It's a different world.
It's a much different world, yeah, compared to what it used to be before, which I also found really funny. But anyway, after the scandal, though, he goes over to UCLA and then just hits a 29, moves way up to the Ravens before that, and then gets in trouble or then just doesn't perform too well. He's got a good resume on his hand. In fact, he was the talk of the town back when he was in Washington to get hired anywhere. He was one of the targets that people were wanting to money whip to get him onto big franchises or big colleges, bigger than Washington, to get him on board and take over jobs. And then he never, because of that scandal, he just fell apart and ended up in the NFL. So he's taking over this team. Okay, now we're on to the Dallas Renegades. Okay, so obviously we got our cons here that he's got a weird history and didn't do too well in UCLA. But one thing's for sure, I definitely like his schematics on offense. He keeps a very well-balanced offense. And the weakest point for the Dallas Renegades have been in the last 2 years their offensive line. It's been awful. They've allowed 60 sacks. They're always in the bottom half of the league when it comes to rushing yards. And I don't blame that on the running back. I usually blame that on the offensive line. And the fact that they're struggling in that area, he's going to try to address it. And they went crazy in free agency on getting 5 different offensive linemen out there to fill those spots. So I hope we're going to find out on the roster cut line who's going to make it and who's going to not make it. But one thing's for sure, whatever they were doing before has to change, and it's a very low bar to get. You can easily achieve much better than what the offensive line was doing. Pair that with Luis Perez in the quarterback position. Pair that with Mims as a wide receiver. I like the Hendershot for tight end. I think this offense can do really well. It just needs that offensive line to get fixed before they address anything.
Yeah, don't get too locked in with Luis Perez. There was an interview, it's on the UFL News Hub, where they were asking Rick Neuheisel what he thought of Luis Perez. And he said, I'm happy with the quarterback room. I know Luis has all kinds of experience and certainly will lean on that. But I think the other 2 kids have fared well. And, I can see a future for those guys with this team and beyond. So it sounds to me like Luis Perez should be the starting quarterback, but he likes what he sees out of Austin Reed and who's the other guy? Luke Lennon. So there's a chance Luis Perez doesn't have the biggest leash. And, he doesn't have Bob Stoops coaching him anymore. We could see a totally new era. How would you handle that?
Oh, I'd handle it well. I just want a good quarterback in the position. Luis Perez leaving me, for God's sakes. So if Luis Perez ends up leaving for whatever reason, it would be very, I'd be upset about it. But then if a quarterback takes over the room, they have. That matters. He's old. He's in third. I believe he's like 30 now, correctly, and he's getting up there. He's getting up there in quarterback years. So if we decide to move in a different direction, it's not that much. Just because I think he's at the twilight years of his great spring league career. Something tells me though, Luis Perez is going to win the spot though, just because he's really, really, really smart with the football, and I think he's going to portray that and take over in the long run. Even if he doesn't get the start in the week 1, I'd imagine after a couple interceptions and some bad mistakes by quarterbacks that don't have the experience to play in a professional setting, he'll end up taking the job. So it's not necessarily over for Luis Perez, but at the same time, he's. I also understand if we decide to move on and go a different direction because we are getting at that point where you're like, you're getting older now, Luis. It wouldn't hurt me nearly as much as you think it would. I'm a Renegades fan, and that's number one. But if obviously I love the OP does really well in this season.
Awesome. So that's some great insight to the Renegades information there, especially with, like we said, cut down days tomorrow. All the teams have to get to 50 players. So we're going to see if the new look offensive line is ready to go. And it's an exciting thing. You had something else, Nick?
Yeah, and one more thing that is going to be their defense too, which is going to be really interesting for the Renegades because right now their current defense, or before defense, was a very boring, 4-3, everyone in the position, stop. Just basically rely on your skill positions to actually end up succeeding. And Galheimer is a whole different type of defensive coordinator. He runs a 3-4, 4-3, changes up his schemes all the time, mixes his blitzes, blitzes a lot, and on top of it, likes to apply pressure and disguise coverages. So one thing about the Renegades that's going to be a little fascinating is you're going to have a new guy in charge of that, and he's going to just completely change a scheme to something that actually has already been working. I mean, granted, the old style was more Eberflus, and this style is going to be more Blake and Greg Williams, but sometimes you don't want to break something that's working. And one thing the Renegades had going for them is they were good at stopping the run. Last year they finished second, and they're good at stopping the pass. Last year they finished third in that rank. Do you want to break something that's already broken? I don't know, but we're going to have no choice because I'm a new defensive coordinator with a whole new scheme taking over. I'm a little nervous about that. I will say at some point it just takes over, and if you've got the talented player, they should do well. Most of the starters are going to be returning in this, so I think it'll be a hater. But I'm a little concerned that we're just changing our schematics, and it could be a problem in the 2026 season. But we'll see how it works out, Rob. We'll see how it works out. That's all I got on the Renegades.
Awesome. Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
They're going to have a good challenge with Houston coming on up, but our picks are still a week away. But I think we're probably both leaning towards the more experienced head coach and our team for the win. But we'll talk more about that next week. Some other things that are getting me excited about the UFL. Like I said last week, I talked about Jordan Tiamu, who I think is the best quarterback in the league, and he certainly showed that he deserved that title from me by winning the whole thing for the DC Defenders, leading them to the title. But I think the biggest thing that's really gotten me more excited about year two for me with the UFL is the new owner, the guy that's kind of in charge, calling all the shots now, in Mike Repoli. So the last couple of years, The Rock has owned it and really done almost nothing with it, to the point where there was pretty much, by the middle of last season, there was almost no marketing whatsoever. And if there was any marketing or excitement, they put it around one thing at a time and overdose it. So the first few weeks last season, the book that Luis Perez wrote, it was everywhere, and that's all the UFL would talk about. They were making players read it on the sidelines. It was pretty weird. And then from there, they decided to go all in on Bryce Perkins, to the point where they essentially handed him the league MVP when he didn't even start more than like half of the games for his team. He was an electric player. He's now out he ended up in the NFL for a little bit with the Panthers. He's now out in the CFL. So he's plenty good quarterback, but the UFL was just like, all right, we can focus on one story and we'll ram it down everyone's throats across the league, whether it makes sense or not. Add that to the fact that they weren't doing enough to draw fans into the games. And then you had a TV product that, while the game on the field may have been good, anytime it panned up to even a row of fans, all you saw was emptiness. And me personally, if I'm watching an event and I know there's supposed to be fans there live and into it, and I see it's a mostly empty stadium, that has an effect on me as a TV viewer because now I'm like, well, if no one really wants to watch this, what am I doing watching this? And that has that effect. And so one of the big things that I love that Mike Repoli has done is he's made the move across the board, except for I believe in St. Louis currently, to smaller stadiums for all the teams. Most of them are now in MLS stadiums, which are great. And there's going to be a huge difference just on the just when you see it in the camera, because it's one thing if there's 10,000 fans sprinkled around a 60,000 fan stadium like in San Antonio or Detroit, like what's happening. It seems like no one's there, but you take 10,000 fans and you put them in a 15 to 20,000 seat stadium, and then you do the smart thing. I was checking this out on Ticketmaster a little bit earlier. If you wanted to get into the game, tickets are still cheap for the home opener in Dallas. But if you go and you look at it, all of the tickets are all on one side and the end zone. You can't get tickets on the other side. My assumption is that's going to be the hard cam side. Anytime you're looking up at the stands, probably right behind the Renegades bench. And that's where all the fans are going to be. So it's going to look, even though the stadium might only be half full, it's going to look packed, which is what you need to see. And then it's going to help you as the fan get more into it when you see a bunch of fans into it as well. So doing that, and then also finding reasons to get people into the stadium, keeping the ticket prices low. You can get into the Dallas home opener for as little as $13 through Ticketmaster right now. I think the most expensive ticket I saw might have been like 50 or 60 bucks. So you can actually, this is now something you can get. You can now, I'm sure you all just heard my dog there. That was so as we were saying before, my dog decided to defend our house against someone daring to walk past on the sidewalk. You've got reasonable tickets. You can actually bring a family out there. The next thing that really I was saying that they need to start doing, which hasn't really happened much looking at the schedule, is probably stop trying to book a lot of like Saturday and Sunday and weekend games. Yes, in theory, that's better for the home fan, but when you're going up against major events, that's going to make things difficult. By pushing the start of the season back this year, I think that's helped a little bit with that. But they're also trying some different things. The second game for Dallas this year, they're going to be hosting the Battlehawks on a Tuesday night, which is brilliant. So I think, especially the TV audience, what else are you watching on a Tuesday night? Keep your eye out for potentially our first watch along of the season for that game in just a few weeks, which would be really good. So Mike Repoli has come in and he is trying a whole bunch of new stuff, getting fans in, and he's actually listening to fans. He's actually been very active on social media, whether it's him or someone running his account, probably someone running his account on X. He's out there, he's engaging with fans, he wants to hear from them, which is awesome. And then along those lines, all the home openers, they've all got some sort of artist playing at halftime. We're probably not going to see that on TV at all, but for the fans going, they're now getting the bonus of they're spending 15 to 20 bucks a ticket, and then they're getting the bonus if they're getting a show as well. For the Renegades, they've got Ty Myers, who's an up-and-coming country artist, which is really cool. The other, a name that I think a lot more people might know, the Birmingham Stallions have Gucci Mane performing at halftime. I believe Wally is performing possibly for the DC Defenders. Don't quote me on that. I know he's performing somewhere for the league. I just don't know exactly where. So these are all really good bonuses, and it's going to hopefully lead to a better overall product, which is what we want to see coming into the league. New exciting owner that seems passionate about the league. He actually gave an interview recently. He eventually wants to see just as many UFL teams as NFL teams, which that's obviously, wow, that is, I mean, right now we got 8, so that's times 4, right? But at the same time, if we do eventually see this league as what it probably should be, as a minor league system for the NFL, something like that would make sense.
I hope I'm coming in clear, Rob. I might not be. If I'm not, let me know, and I could. I'm doing all right. Okay. So yeah, I wanted to actually talk about that a little, the 32 teams thing. And I know he's talking about like in 2035, that's his kind of game plan to get it up to 32 teams. I, I find it interesting. One thing I like about Repoli is he's got a vision and he's really excited and he is not afraid to move mountains to get whatever he wants done. And I think that's a good thing. I think the UFL needs a kickstart like that. I could tell through X, through Twitter, whatever you want to call it. He's doing a wonderful job at like promoting the league and doing a good job at trying to get that league out there. You know, which is good and which is great. I always wonder about these kind of figures, though. It kind of reminds me of like Jerry Jones or Mark Cuban or anyone like these guys. Is it's all fun, and then they're gonna do a controversy, and we're all gonna not be a fan of them all of a sudden. And I, I could tell this personality type is going to be someone that we're all like for right now, and get ready for some controversy at some point because he is not going to stop changing. I'm all for it. I'm used to it. I cheer for the Cowboys. I'm a Jerry fan, but I do want to warn UFL fans. He's going to do a lot. He's going to be really crazy, and he might not be to everyone's taste in the beginning. But his goal is one thing and one thing only, and that's get new fans to watch the sport. And that's the most important thing that this league needs right now. So he is perfect for what they need right now. But I do warn UFL, I think he's going to be real hot to handle later on down. But I'm okay with it. I'm used to it, and I like it. Think of like a Vince McMahon type, that takes over and can cause a little controversy over there. We've already heard recently that he's changing the Brahmas jerseys, and he basically told them, hey,
Well,
we're changing it. I don't know what to tell you, and I get it. I'm gonna have some hate, some flack coming my way, but I'm still gonna do it. Oh, I said Brahmas. I'm
don't
sorry,
exist.
Stallions. The Stallions.
Okay.
They were talking about changing the Stallion. Yeah, I gotcha. No, I meant the Stallions, yeah. But yes, that the Stallions jerseys are going to change. He got a lot of backcourse, like bad takes on that. Everyone's really upset about that on the Stallion side. Rob would tell you go to a game if you have a problem with it because
That's
you weren't there last
what
year.
I was going to say.
So now you're showing up.
Yeah, the Stallions fans.
I agree with him, by the way. Show up.
But also showing that Repoli's willing to listen to fans. The Stallions were on the chopping block. They were supposed to be one of the teams that went away. And if you look at the numbers, like they averaged more than Memphis, but that's not saying much. They weren't pulling in TV numbers. They weren't pulling in anyone at the stadium. Granted, the scheduling often didn't help. They're down in, Birmingham, and they were often getting late afternoon games when it's pretty hot. But they weren't there. But then the Stallions have a strong online fan presence, especially on X, and it came through loud and clear. And the Stallions are around for at least one more year. But yeah, Stallions fans, you love to whine and complain. Show up to a game. Show up to a game. All right. Start showing up to games, start filling that stadium. Maybe the league will listen to you a little bit more because that's the big thing. You can whine and complain all you want. And that might be why he's kind of already starting to change the jersey a little bit because he might already say, well, hey, if we're not filling the stadium halfway full and we're not getting ratings, I can go bring it to a new market that's actually going to be excited next year. So show up, give your opinion that way.
And I'm coming from the opinion that I am for the Stallions staying just because they're a historic franchise for the spring leagues, and they've done a really good job at just winning football games. And it's something that you just don't want to get rid of. You don't want to just take away Goliath amongst a bunch of Davids just because. And that's essentially what you would be doing. I mean, this is what Alabama or the New England Patriots were in spring football. This is the team that causes all the trouble, always ends up winning, and always finds a way to get into the playoffs. And building a little history, you kind of want these teams to exist to do that. But Rob is 100% right. You guys were winning. Memphis Showboats had a good reason. Why go to a spring league game when you're losing football? Why cheer for something that you're losing anyway? I have to be a new fan to actually join it. I get the Showboats. Showboats actually showed out the 2023. They did a wonderful job at showing out for games before the merger, and they stopped because they started losing. What were the Stallions' excuse? You guys were winning. Even last year you were winning. You had all the quarterbacks. You were kind of the villain. You had a huge stadium. You would end up, not showing up for them, and it was really upsetting. So, right there with you, Rob. Right there with you. The Stallions fans better show up, especially because you were on the chopping block. It's going to be a problem.
Yeah, for sure. So that is the UFL for us there. We're excited. We're gonna get next week. We're gonna finally have some picks, and we'll also have an announcement next week of what will be our first watch along of the season. The world famous Nick and Rob Homer our watch alongs will have that going for sure. So Nick, that's the UFL, but we got some other stuff to talk about. We've got NFL free agency. I've got some some thoughts on the World Baseball Classic Championship game last night. Where do you want to pivot to next?
We could go into the NFL free agency. I have no problem with that.
All right.
I'll start off, I guess, with the Dallas Cowboys big signing over there, and I was doing a little bit of research on Vic Fangio's defense just in general, because Christian Parker came from the Vic Fangio tree, and I'm just really fascinated with what exactly are the Cowboys going to see next year. And it's a very interesting setup over here. They're going to definitely play a lot of cover six, but one of the coolest things about that defense is they are not going to show their cards before the snap and try to take advantage of all the motions, all the play actions that offenses do out there. And if Christian Parker ends up pulling that off, that'd be great, because that is the key. Because the big advantage of these offenses when they take the field is the fact that they can dictate exactly where to go with the ball. They take the strong side, they know exactly where to pass, and they can motion it in that direction. On top of it, just outright cause confusion when you have motion or anything like that in the league. And Vic Fangio, where he's getting his fame and where he's actually building his tree from is the fact that he looked at that and addressed it. He got it to a point where defenses now are confusing the quarterback instead of the other way around, where the offense is confusing the defense and losing them that 0.3, 0.5 seconds out there by just changing up the coverage. So what he's going to do out there is he's going to be running a cover six. Okay, your nickel corner is going to have to be essentially a linebacker, and that's where I would look at it for the Cowboys in the trade. They're going to either on draft night or so far they haven't picked up any guy that can actually do what Christian Parker's going to want to do for that defense just quite yet, because now that I've done more research, we need a stronger nickel. And so what he's going to do is he's going to attack that. Now, we did pick up Jalen Thompson, safety from the Arizona Cardinals. Part of this scheme is you essentially get two plays on called right before the defense. So you get if you're on the strong side, you're going to play zone. If you're on the weak side, you might play man, or it could be vice versa, or you could blitz. I don't know what the case may be, but the fact of the matter is you need to be able to change it up before the play call is snapped, and that's the key to the confusion to the offense. So offenses, and you're not going to indicate it to the rest of the defense. You're not, because in the huddle, they're going to announce that play call to try to change it up and confuse the offense. So the most important positions that are going to have to be built in the Dallas Cowboys defense is going to have to be safety and nickel. They've got to address that because you need smart players out there that understand that their roles are going to change just based off one motion going their direction. And you need to be quick and you need to be fast on detecting that. And you also need to be a ball hawk. Another thing that they're going to do is they're going to be pressed back, okay? And they're going to attack forward, keep the offense in front of them, but then attack in the forward position. So it's going to be interesting what they're going to do. They got on Jalen Thompson. He's a safety from the Arizona Cardinals. They got him for a 3-year, $33 million contract in free agency. Guaranteed money is going to be $22 million. That's one of the most important positions you got to fill. And he, being on the Arizona Cardinals, is under that Vic Fangio tree. Can't name the defensive coordinator right now, but he is also under it. So Christian Parker's pulling people that understand that scheme and going to attack it well. P.J. Locke was another safety that was picked up. Could be a backup. He might not start for Donovan Wilson, but he could very well do it. And they get a 1-year, $4.5 million contract for him. Another big pickup was they took away the starting cornerback from the Los Angeles Rams, Kobe Durant, who will be able to start for this team somehow, some way, whether it's nickel or outside corners. What that tells me is he doesn't trust Durant or Ravel to be his outside corners going into the league, because one thing that in this scheme that's very important is, since your safeties are going to be really far back, your cornerbacks are going to be on an island, and they need to be able to cover the wide receivers on the outside. You're not going to get much help until after the 10-yard line, right where the safeties get involved. So in order for it to be successful, you got to be able to lock down within that 10 to 20-yard range. And hiring Kobe indicates to me that he's not too confident in neither one of them. I don't know which one. I would assume Revel, because he's young, but it could be Bland. Maybe Bland doesn't know how to run his scheme, because you got to be able to do zone and man-to-man. And as we saw last year, Rob, Bland didn't do a good job in zone. He got cooked all year long. So we'll see. We'll see if that works. They're revamping their secondary. You could definitely tell they're making news. I would like a little bit more action in free agency. I'm not going to lie. I want to see something else in there, whether it's a defensive end or a possible linebacker, just to help out the team, because I really want this team to be somewhat built before the draft, so they have options in the draft who to pick up, whether that could be a cornerback, defensive end, whoever it may be, whatever can help the team. I want the best available defensive player. You're already limited to defense, so I want the best player to be able to be picked up and taken onto the team. And right now, without having a serious pass rusher, it's going to be a little bit of a concern for the Cowboys going further. So we'll see. I need them to pick up a defensive end or something on the outside, because right now what they got, it's good, it's solid. Their defensive line's okay, but I would just like to see a little extra, because once you have a good defensive line, that's what changes your defense in the league.
That's for sure. I mean, the Pats had a great defensive line this year, and that led to a lot of success for us. What are your thoughts? So I wanted to ask you this: after seeing and poor Malik Willis, he's probably already asking is his signature totally valid? Can he get out of Miami? After seeing what Miami just did, and what the haul they got for it was by sending Jalen Waddle over to Denver, it's a pretty good haul. Does Dallas plod along with this dance with George Pickens, or do they try to flip him to? I've seen a lot of articles out there saying, hey, New England, maybe go get Pickens from the Cowboys instead of A.J. Brown. I mean, obviously, if we were both Jerry Jones, we would have either signed him already or moved him. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think, are they going to sign him, or is Jerry going to try to force him to play under the franchise tag?
He's going to play for Dallas. I do believe that, whether it's the franchise tag or the contract. If I'm Jerry, I'd sign him right now. One, you get cap space if you sign him because you can move his money around and then add in an extra player. Don't know why Jerry isn't doing it on that end. I guess the contract's not right. But reading about Fangio's defenses, what he's doing across the league, because everyone's starting to change to this. It's just like Shanahan did for the offenses, or Sean McVay did. If you want to beat these Vic Fangio defenses, if you want to beat them, you need studs on the outside. Like I said earlier, the cornerbacks are the weak spot of that defense because they're the only ones left on an island out there. So even if you do line up a great starring cornerback against a guy like George Pickens or CD Lamb, they're going to beat you, and they're going to beat you really quickly. So I am the more I read about the defenses that's going on in the league right now, the more I'm going, that's the direction the NFL's going. You need two outside wide receivers to stop these defenses. And we have Vic Fangio in our division with the Eagles. So it's like, and they're the ones that we got to really, really beat. So if I'm Jerry, I'd sign him up in a heartbeat. I'd definitely do that quickly. I don't know if Jerry will. He might not. I think, you want my prediction, Rob? I think this is going to turn into a contract dispute in August. And this is going to be what we're going to be talking about in August. That's my prediction. Do I want that? No. I want him signed, and I want it over with to get him onto that field. But I don't think Jerry's going to do that. And I used to say we're going to sign him. Now I question that with the Micah Parsons thing because there was a pattern. I was just following the pattern. And when Micah Parsons left, I was like, well, that wasn't part of the pattern. So I don't know. I don't think he's trading him, though. I do not think he's going to trade him. I think it's either franchise tag and he's playing, or we're going to sign a contract and he's going to be on us long term. Sorry.
Hello. I know you're doing the camera thing. I just felt that way back. So, yeah, that's interesting. So far, seems like you're mostly happy with what the Cowboys have done in free agency. Looking over at my Patriots, I'm a little befuddled. And I understand the Patriots are ahead of schedule. I don't think anyone in that organization preseason would have picked them to make the Super Bowl last year. Never mind all of us fans. But the buy-in, the proper coaching, it showed that there was a lot of good stuff on this team. The new front office alignment with Mike Vrabel, they made some outstanding additions, and we're going to see if they're still doing that. On defense, I'm giving them, I know we lost Chase on. He's moved on, but they're replacing him. They've done well. A+ on defense. I'm not worried about the defense at all. The offense, there was two key things that I said they needed to improve upon, and they haven't. Wide receiver and offensive line. They went with all potential team players for both as their big key additions. I've never been a Romeo Dubes fan. I will be his number one fan if he comes in and absolutely balls out. But right now, the Patriots have that issue of they've got 3 number 2 receivers, possibly 4, without any true number 1 receiver. So that all changes if they can bring in an A.J. Brown. I think Brown makes more sense probably than Pickens just because Brown's got the history with Vrabel. Brown's also, might be a little bit cheaper depending on how that works out. I know they were competing with the Rams, but the Rams seem to have made all the moves that they were going to make. So hopefully New England can bring A.J. Brown in. But then also you look at the offensive line. We needed some help. Our rookies were really shown to be rookies, and the depth was an issue last season. And we proceeded to trade away our starting center for a 5th-round pick. It's okay, the center actually wasn't too bad, but I guess the plan, and it was all part of the plan, the logic being that you're moving Jared Wilson back to his natural position at center, and then they're bringing in Elijah Vera Tucker, who all-world potential team. All-world potential team for potential for sure. Problem is, he's played in about half of the games he's been eligible to play in because he's always injured. So hopefully they get a good, strong bill of health because I'm concerned about this offensive line. There is no depth outside of these guys. We've also lost our top backup. Verdian Lowe is gone. So there's no depth. And then if you look at all the mock drafts, with the Pats picking at 31, they're not in a good spot to improve with a plug-and-play starter on the offensive line because all of the top O-line players are going between 10 and 20. So there's plenty of depth at a position like that, but short of some sort of move up to get one, which I don't think they would do, the Pats are primed for potentially a step. I would still imagine a playoff year because there's two teams in the AFC East that are actively competing for the number one draft pick already. Miami is having a total fire sale. And if I'm Malik Willis and if I'm Devin Achane, I'm like, what's going on? Especially if I'm Achane because it came out in a report today that he is completely off limits. Meanwhile, they're tearing it down to the studs everywhere else. If I was Achane, I'd say, get me out of here right now. Unless he just loves Miami so much, he doesn't care about winning. But that'd be surprising because there are several top contending teams that would snatch him up immediately. Same with Bryce Hall over with the Jets. So yeah, if I had to give a letter grade to the Pats, I guess I'm giving them a B minus. But hopefully the draft is going to be where we shine, and then we make a few more key additions from there. I'm hoping not to see a Tyreek Hill, that's for sure. But maybe Stephon Diggs, everything clears up legally with him. Maybe no one else meets his asking price and we can bring him back on a lower deal. I'd be cool with that too. But we'll see. Yeah, nothing overly exciting for me on the Patriots front so far. But in Vrabel, we trust. In Elliott Wolf, we trust.
Yeah, it is so bizarre that the Patriots are doing it this way because right now you got yourself a quarterback on a rookie deal. So you could sign 3 to 4 year contracts on a lot and end up doing really well in the next 3 to 4 years. You guys just made the Super Bowl. So I don't understand what their mindset is. I mean,
they've got a ton of cap room still.
I understand Jerry, I guess, because he's cheap and yeah, but they got a ton of cap room and they're not like cap hinged like the Cowboys are. So what are they doing? It makes no sense to me in any sense. It's really confusing. Why not go swing? Right now you're in the 31st overall pick right now. Why not? See if you can. Right now you can get Crosby on the cheap. Well, why not add a guy like that? Why not beef up your offensive line? There's got to be something out there, even a trade if you can get up that first round pick to get a solid veteran to take over. The only reason why you don't want veterans is because you don't have the cap space. They are much more expensive. There's no doubt about that. Stephen Jones has said that's his problem in free agency. You're overpaying for the talent that they're just not at most of the time. I agree with him.
You're paying for
but
the
if
past.
You can get a veteran you're paying for the past just a little, but if you can get a veteran into the offensive line spot, you're going to be in really good shape. And I just don't understand. Just go get a piece because you guys were in the Super Bowl, and the weakest side of this whole entire team was your offensive line. Didn't think I would be as this passionate about the Patriots as I was about the Cowboys, but I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me, and it's confusing. My logic is not clicking with what they're doing, I guess, and I'm sure you're sharing the same concern.
Yeah, I am, but we'll see how it plays out. This should still be a playoff team. I don't know if they're a Super Bowl team yet. I think they're probably still a couple moves and maybe 2 years away from maximizing their Super Bowl window right now with Drake May, but we'll see. That's for sure. That's for sure. So that's NFL free agency for us. All eyes on the Dolphins these days. All eyes on the Jets. Justin Fields is potentially the week 1 starter in Kansas City. That's wild. The NFL is a crazy place, that's for sure. So, Nick, anything else you wanted to
You got
touch
your boy
on? I
back in the
wanted to
starting
talk a
role,
little
Rob.
bit about what'd you say? What'd you say, Nick? All right. I don't know if we've
I
lost
said you
Nick
got your
or
boy
not.
back
That
in the starting role. That was back when you said Justin Fields going to potentially be a starter.
gotcha. That's for sure. Yeah, it's interesting. That's for sure. So I definitely want to touch on the finish of the World Baseball Classic last night. Is there anything else you want to touch on as we get ready to wind down here in our last segment of the night?
I'm quite literally scared too, Rob, at this point with my internet connection. So go ahead, kick it off with the World Baseball Classic, because I'm good. I am good right now. I'll
All right.
stay
Yeah.
as still as
So
possible. I'm getting a little nervous about this, folks. We're getting a new laptop next week, I promise. I'm done with
exciting
this.
times.
I'm done with
Exciting
this.
times. So the World Baseball Classic wrapped up last night. A lot of Team USA fans will call the game an absolute dud on the offensive side for Team USA. Um, but it was still a very thrilling, close game all the way through. For me, the main headline for um, Team USA, if there was a theme throughout the World Baseball Classic, it would be tone deaf United States baseball. That would be the headline for the article. And it all started with Aaron Judge being named captain, which is fine. He's your biggest and toughest guy. So if you're going to fight to see who is the captain, he'd probably win. He also has the best regular season. I'm clearly a Red Sox fan. Regular season stats of anyone that was on that roster. Um, Captain clutch when the games don't matter that much. That's what Aaron Rodgers is. Aaron Judge is. Um, Aaron Rodgers kind of like that though too these days. But yeah, Aaron Judge has been struggling, and he let it off. He was named captain, and then he gave a speech in the team room on like March 2nd, right before the games got going, and then it got shared all over social media. Like this was supposed to be the speech to hype everyone up. Well, we all learned Aaron Judge is not one of those rah speech guys. He was kind of reading from note cards, kind of seemed really sheepish and awkward, and just used a lot of military cliches. And it was like, okay, which is fine. Sports is often compared to war, but awkward timing with everything going on outside of sports to kind of be using those cliches. But it is what it is. It was more of how cliched it was, and it came across like a middle school kid getting up to give a presentation for the first time ever, and just not ready for it. And then we just kept going, and then from there. Cal Raleigh, big jumper, second in MVP voting last year. Um, Catcher for the Mariners. They're playing Mexico. Randy Arozarena, his teammate. Presumably they're pretty close. Those guys made a big run with Seattle last year. Comes up to the plate, goes to shake his hand, and Cal Raleigh refuses to acknowledge him. And then says after the game that his focus was on Team USA, and that mattered. Whereas Randy Arozarena was like, dude, we're freaking teammates. What the hell? Because here's the thing. Yes, it is the World Baseball Classic. It's, until pros are back in the Olympics, which should be coming up in the next Olympics. This is the biggest international stage for baseball, but it's also supposed to be a celebration of the sport. And Cal Raleigh doing that, go back to that tone deaf headline. Like, come on, dude. Like, dap up your teammate and then get into the game. Those are the moments to get excited about, get people excited about. And then you keep going, and Team USA was, like I said this on a sports talk show I was interacting with earlier today. It seemed like the whole World Baseball Classic for them was like a dentist appointment, and they just had to be there and endure it. Whereas every other team that's in there, they're having fun home run celebrations. They're going nuts. The crowd's going nuts. It's a party, and they're having a great time. And Team USA is like, we're Team USA. And it's just like, come on, guys. And then it played out in the championship game. The game's in Miami. They're playing Venezuela, who upset Japan in an epic one, and then squeaked by the upstarts of the entire WBC in Italy. Um, it's just and then that doesn't even go into the whole Mark DeRosa. Don't ever let Mark DeRosa manage again. The dude didn't even know the rules. He sat half his stars because they were tired and worn out against Italy because he thought they'd already clinched. And then Italy beat us, and he got super lucky Italy beat Mexico. Because if Mexico wins, USA wouldn't have even been in group play. And then the bats were just silent. They barely squeaked by they got lucky against the Dominican Republic with a 2-1 win. The DR, you look at the DR's lineup, like they only got one run. And then you go into the final last night, and the energy, the passion, the enthusiasm was there for Venezuela, was there for the fans, was there on the players' faces. And Team USA, stoic, and the bats didn't show up again. Bryce Harper, though, I will give Bryce Harper credit. I don't know if you were, I was watching the game live. I don't know if you were, Nick, but he absolutely, in the 8th inning, crushed a ball to dead center field to go from down 2-0 to tied 2-2, which I will say that's the first time, the 8th inning was the first time all game USA, and the only time USA got a runner to second base. Then we move on and we get to the top of the ninth. Go ahead, go.
Well, if my internet's gonna hang tight here, you know what that screams to me is this sounds like just a terrible manager who doesn't know how to handle cocky athletes to get them in line and say, hey, look, guys, wake up, we're a team, you know? And I just don't think it performs well over there because that's the America stigma, right? Just a bunch of individuals care about themselves, and you know you're making money. You're looking at this kind of like a whatever thing. I don't really care about it. I care, but I don't really care that much because I'm just going to focus on my individual stats. And you need a manager to go in there and just say, guys, slap out of it. We're a team. We got to work together. Let's go to Disney World. Let's do something right before the game even starts, or before the games even start, and just try to build somewhat of a unity because the talent's there. But if you guys aren't working together, even in baseball, which is a little bit more individualistic than hockey, then you got to work together. I mean, it's a team sport. Everyone's got to pat each other on the back, and I was really shocked about that teammate thing because you could just be polite, dude. You could just dab them and then go, hey, we're done. All right, move on now. I'm playing on my team, but, good seeing you kind of thing. Just be polite. Yeah. There was no need to be rude about it. And
you saw that in other games.
It disappoints me the way America performed.
And you saw that in other games. Players that were on the same MLB team were saying hi to each other and all that throughout that. But, it's the same issue we have in the Ryder Cup where a bunch of individuals get together and they claim to care, but they really don't. Europe wins and dominates in this thing all the time because they play as a team. They're excited about it as a team. They take it seriously. They show up, they practice, they train, they do all this stuff together. Team USA couldn't be, and it came out after this last Ryder Cup, in the practice, even in like the week leading up to it. Europe's out there doing all the practice. Team USA was like barely playing a few holes here, a few holes there. Keegan Bradley was trying to get them to, in the lead up, to come out and, hey, let's all play together at this event, or let's all get together here and there. And half the players just weren't even doing it because they didn't fit their schedule. Well, then why are they on the team? So it's this team stuff and then you contrast that with how this game finished. All right. Roman Anthony's up. I hope he's not scarred from this as a Red Sox fan. There's 2 outs. And this is, of course, after in the bottom of the 8th. After earlier, Aaron Judge had a 3-1 hitters count and just looked at a meatball for 3-2. And he ends up getting out after that. Judge, what are you doing? And then Roman Anthony's up. It's all on the line. He's got 2 strikes on him, and then the camera pans to the Venezuela's closer. And the game, I knew the game was over right then and there. There was no chance. The Venezuela closer, before he threw that last strike, literal tears in his eyes. They pan over to the 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 dugout. The players, it's like, oh, it's over. And then that pitcher, he uncorks one, and Anthony whiffs, and that's it. And it's just, and then afterwards, you see the passion. They are like belting out their national anthem, flags everywhere. It's like, USA, come on. I hope, and they wore the men's hockey jerseys in, but then they didn't embody any of what made the men's hockey team so great. And it's just like, I hope Team USA can look at themselves across a lot of different sports and stop this cocky individualistic stuff. Because guess what? The rest of the world is just going to keep winning.
Yeah, and I think their approach to it is we're the big bad bullies, and we're going to end up winning whatever we play out there. And you can get away with that in basketball right now, but sooner or later, that's even going to catch up on you at some point.
Yeah.
But the hockey team, they're the underdogs, so they played like it. They played like the team that couldn't beat the Canadians and went out there and said, we need to prove them that we could beat them. And America just goes in expecting to win sports like baseball or the Ryder Cup, like you mentioned earlier, because they usually have the top golfers. It could be coaching. It could be a lot of different things, but they've just got to change their approach. You ain't anything until you win these things, and they've got to kind of have that attitude going into it. If they're not going to care, then, that's what you're going to get. And it's really disappointing because, like I said earlier, during around the hockey match, you put nations behind anything, it's fun, and I want to cheer on my country.
Yeah.
But it's become clear as day that I care more about that than it looks like they do when it comes to baseball. Do you really care that you're in America, representing America, or are you just in this to get by and treating it like an all-star game? If that's the case, I don't want you in it. I don't care who you are. We've got plenty of talent. We got 300 million Americans that live here. We can find a baseball player to take over that spot that just has a little bit more give a damn in it, and they could take your spot. It was a bad sign immediately when I forgot the pitcher's name, but the pitcher that played against Britain, England, that first match, and only had 54 pitches. Yeah. It's just, that was a bad sign right there. That was a window of what you're looking forward to when it comes to the World Baseball Classic. You're just getting names out there and having them compete, even if they're not going to compete for long. So disappointing. Congratulations, though. So the Venezuelans won, right? Yes.
They did. Venezuela won. They deserved to win it. I obviously was rooting for Team USA there, but Venezuela came out and they got it. They deserved it. Also, you talked about the manager thing for Team USA. The only management experience Mark DeRosa has is managing Team USA in the last couple World Baseball Classics. He's a former player that's a TV guy. Why they don't have a Bruce Bochy out there, or get like, if you want someone that's maybe not a traditional manager because they're all getting ready for go tap Jason Varitek or a Buster Posey, like some sort of top catcher that can, because we all know catchers make the best managers. Get them in there, someone like that. But hopefully we make changes before 3 years from now when we do it again.
Or tap into college, right? Don't you think that's a good idea? I think that's a good idea. At least, I don't know, someone that gets that I have to mold these young athletes quickly and I have to get them going. I don't care how good you are. You're part of this team. We need to win, but this is what we're going to face each year and each year when it comes to them if we keep going down this path. Very frustrating.
Very frustrating. Well, all right, Nick, it has been a wonderful episode of the Nick and Rob Homer Hour. We covered a lot of great things. We saw we saw the training underway of Nick's new camera. We talked about a lot of good stuff. We're excited about the UFL. NFL free agency kind of is what it is. We're probably going to go dormant on the NFL unless something crazy happens until we get closer to the draft now. WBC was exciting, but now we've got playoff hockey coming up. MLB is about to kick off, and we are 10 days away from the UFL season kicking off and getting into full gear, which means next week, on next week's episode, as far as we know right now, back to our normal Tuesday night, we will be making our first pick segment of the season. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Nick, are we going to go against the spread again this year, or are we just going to go straight up?
We are going to go straight up. We're just going to pick winners, especially right now with 4 new teams. I just don't have a clue what we're going to do there. We're not going to be your gambling people, but we do look at the spread. We always look at it just to get an idea of who the favorites are not, and we'll give suggestions on which way we should go on that all the time. But generally speaking, for the picks and who's going to pick the best, it's going to be determined based off just winners straight up. By the way, if you're betting on week 1, hats off to you. That's a gambler's gambler because this is going to be a wild league with all the changes that have been made. So that's a true gambler for sure. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see how the season goes when it comes to that. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for the UFL. I can't wait for it to start. And I'm excited about week 1 and a new laptop, Rob. I'm excited about a new laptop.
For sure. A lot of great things to look forward to. And yeah, we will see y'all next week. If you're watching us live right now on X or YouTube, thank you for joining us. If you're listening to us and it is not Wednesday night, thank you for tapping in and listening in. Please hit the like button on that video. That's super helpful for us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share with a friend. We're on once a week, usually Tuesday nights, talking about UFL, football, and all things sports, Dallas and Boston. You can find us also on Instagram and on Blue Sky. Nick and Rob Homer Hour. Give us a search there. Give us a follow. Give us a share. We look forward to chatting with you all again next week.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Well, I'm done with this.